So open your Android Studio, then click Start a new Studio project. You have to give an application name. So I prefer to put 2018, and I want you to put your campus ID or your first name in the application name. So when you submit to GitHub or you want to send me the code, so I can know which who the application belong to. And summer examples. The company domain is your, so maybe you will use in the future, but I don't care in this class. And you can choose the project location. So the Android can also use C++ libraries. So if you want to use the C++ library in your computer, in your project, you have to check this box. So, but in this class, I will not teach you how to use C++ library. So we don't need to check this box. Then, and we don't need to call in support. So just click next. For the version, we only build application for phone and tablet. So we choose Android 5.0. If you change the Android version like 4.0, you can see approximately 100% of device can use your application. But the low version phones have the low speed CPUs. So we usually create application for 5.0, even though it's 71% devices, but all the devices may have a fast CPU, so you can put some animation in your application. If you want to support more devices, you cannot use a new library or some fancy animations in your application, because some old devices may crash when they run the animations. Then we click next. So the first application, I want you to choose the empty activity. Then next. So we leave the first activity, main activity. Then the backwards compatibility is for example, we have a component or device introduced in Android 6.0, but we still want to use it in Android 5.0. So we can check this box. Then the IDE will add the necessary library to your project. So even though we are built Android application based on Android 5.0, we can also use some libraries, some component introduced in Android 6.0. Then finish. If you are seeing this window unregistered VCS root detected because you set the wrong GitHub path for your project. And I will show you why. So to solve it, go to the setting in Windows, the preference in Mac, and go to version control. And you can see all the directory listed in the version control window. So because I have a root in Android folder, but the Android folder is for multiple projects, so this path is wrong because each project should have the unique CGS, the version control path. So if you have the wrong path, you can click delete. Okay, I didn't delete it because it should be minus. So if you have the unnecessary path here, you can choose that path, then click minus. But this one don't let me do that. So you have to go to the folder and find out the invisible git. Go to Android. So under this folder, there are some invisible files. I forgot how to see the invisible files, but in this folder it should be some invisible files about Git, and you can delete all the invisible files. Then this path will be deleted. So,
Question. Can you go back to this one? I'm trying to see where, because I can't see this cut off.
which one?
I can't see this. It's on the top part. Yeah.
So
I'm saying I didn't know what you clicked to get to that screen.
oh, it's different from Windows computer. So in Windows you can find out the setting, but for the Mac you have to click preference. But it's setting in Windows. It doesn't matter. I will show you how to create a Git. Then after we click create a new Android application, so Android app project, you will find project structure and captures. Usually we just focus on the project. Then it have the different hierarchy structure. So I usually you can choose project. So in the project, you will have app, and you should have the library folders and source folders. But in the Android, you have, because this structure is based on what we usually do, what we usually need in the development. So the manifest, the Java code, and the source folders. The three component is totally different things. The Android manifest listed all the necessary activities and all the necessary components will be indexed in the Android project. So when you create a new Android project, you will add different activities. So here, each interface you saw here, we call it activity. So if we go to notification, so we go to notification activity. So each activity should be listed in the Android manifest. And in the future, we will show you how to use service, then how to get access authority from users, and you will put it in an Android manifest. So Android manifest is kind of like checklist for all the activity, for all the service, for the big component you will be used in this project. And Java is Java code, because we will use Java code to build the main logic. And in the Java code, with everything in the Java folder, you have to follow the Java grammar. And you know Java is the object-oriented programming language. So everything in Java is object. The main activity is object. and it extends from app-compat activity. We have the other resource folder. So the resource folder is especially for Android. So the Java code here is just logic, but we need to build some views like the button, like the color, like an icon, also like some images. So we have to put some images, some colors in the project so we can put it in the drawable and layout and values. So if you open all the folders in your computer, you can find out some XML file, some PNG file, and some also value files with also use XML file. So in value files, you can find colors, strings, and styles. The styles is for the theme of your application. So I already saw some application you have different themes. So for example, if you want to use a light theme in the daylight, and then you want to in the night, you want to use some dark theme. So you can put different theme in the value folders in the style files. Then you can let the user switch theme. And the strings is all the words you want to put it in an application. So why we put it here and give it a name? Because you can add language support. For example, you can add Spanish, you can add Chinese in your application. So each language needs one strings file, but so for one button, it uses the same name for one word. For example, for these words, you will use the same name, but in different string file, the same name has different character here. So when you change to Chinese and put Chinese here, and the words appear here will change according to your system setting. If you change the language in your Android system, the application will change accordingly. And you can add some disability support also in this resource folder. So for each button, if you open the disability mode, then when you finger mode to each button, the system will pronounce the words in that button. So that's called disability support. But I will not cover in the class because we have limited time. But you have to know all the stuff related to the words, the picture, the shape, the buttons. I have to put it in the resource folder. And the Java folder only care about the logic. And the manifest folder just checklist. So they have different works. You have to put different things in different folders. In the old version, they put all the pictures inside drawable folder. But in the new version, they create a new file type called map. So they move the pictures to this folder, and we can see the IC launcher PNG. If we change to project to package Android. If we change it to project resources, you can see the folder changed to HDPI, MDPI, XHDPI because Android phones have different screen size. So if you are if you use a very small picture in the for just like 4 inches screen size, so it will be scratched in the big screen. So in the big company, they will prepare the pictures for different screen size. Usually they have 5 screen size. Then you need to, it's not your work. But if you are working for a company, it's not your work. But if you are creating your own project, you have to prepare 5 of the same picture. So that's why in the Android, that's why one picture they have 5 files. This file picture is different screen size, and the values and the drawable. If I open the drawable file, you can see many XML language in this file. This file is like this language is like tag language. So they declare what the button looks like and what the color it should be used and what the picture it should be included for the picture. So that's the button. When I didn't click it, it's green. So if I press it, it changes to the different color, transparent color. So you can, so this button will use 2 pictures. So you have to set the style in the drawable folder and put the pictures in the map. The layout folder. If I open the layout file, this is the file for the activity main. Then you will find out the blueprint and the view. This view will be shown in your phone, in your screen. And if it looks like this one, this one, that it will exactly the same on your phone. So, but it also have code here and the design interface here. If you click the component tree, click the politics, then you can drag the buttons, image view to the interface. Drawable. So let me change to a button. If you drag button to the interface, you will see it, and you can also change the style and the name on the attributes interface. But I'm not suggesting you to do that because I prefer to do pure code. Go to text interface, then you will find the code, because in the code, in the text mode, you can change exactly the size, the color, and you can. So when you're familiar with the developing, then you will have a imagination on your mind. So that's a text view. I will introduce the linear layout first because it's easier to learn. Then you have a text view here. If we created the other text view, let's see, hello world again, then you will know this text view is below this text view. And you don't need to, okay, sorry, you will change the orientation. you just need to define by use the text in the text mode. You don't need to use your mouse to drag the word to there and to over there and then change the attributes here. So if you are developing your project, you will find out the text mode is faster than the design mode. So for example, if I want to add another button, then I define the width, then the height. How do I use 100 dp? The dp is the metric for Android, and the text should be click me. Then you can find the button. So you can change the color, background, add color. You can choose any color you want. For example, color Android. So Android color black. So you will see a preview of the color on the column. Then you can find it. Then you can also change the text color. Add Android color. Use a white color. See, you can change the attributes of the button of any view easily. So don't use design mode. So try to get used to. I know the design mode is easier to accept, but so don't use it. Just don't use it. Use text mode. So when you're familiar with the text mode, then you will find out the advantage about the text mode. Then the most important, the obvious thing is if you want to create multiple buttons, so you can just need to copy this button and paste it multiple times. Oh, sorry. Paste it multiple times. See, if you have multiple buttons. And so that's the structure of your project. So the Java is for the logic, the source is for the files or the materials, for the layout you used for the views. Then I want to go to AVD, so Android Virtual Device Manager. If you don't have a hard device, you can create a virtual device here. I already posted it in iCollege. You can check the slides. So you can choose the model you want to use. So this model is the emulator of the phone on the market. So you choose anyone you want, then click next. But for the system installed in the Android virtual device, you have to download the system. So you can click the download. Then so that's recommended. This is for your system. So if you have a 64-bit system, then you can choose accordingly. So if you are using a 64-bit system, so you choose the 64 system version. Then I use this one. So because 64-bit system will run faster than normal system. Then click next. So normally we choose portrait, then click finish. So after you finish to create a virtual device, you will find it here. And after that, so that's the run button. So if you click run button, then it gives you all the connected devices. So if you have a physical device and change it to debug mode, and okay, for different phones, they have different ways to open the debug mode to developer mode. So you have to Google the way of your phone to find out a way to open the developer mode. So after you open the developer mode, then when you plug the cable to your computer, you can find the hard device here. So you can choose the hard device or this virtual device, then click OK. Wait for the Gradle building running. And after running, it will push it to the device, no matter what the virtual device or the physical device. So you can see the emulator. So it's exactly the same as we designed for the layout. So you will have a preview about the design, even though you use a text mode. So use the text mode and check it in the design mode. Then after that, run it in your emulator in your device. So sometimes it has some different, because if you put a white text here, but you cannot see it here, and maybe it caused by many reasons, but it's not real. It's real. But so whenever you find that error, you can ask me or Google the problem. Then finally we'll solve it. But it's very rare. That's a layout. So if you make some change, so because the buttons are too ugly, so we delete all the buttons. So the compiling is very slow. So if we want to send it to the device quickly, you can click the instant run, the thunder icon. So it will only send the change file to the emulator. Then you can check the view, the activity quickly. So that's the virtual machine manager. Then the other important button is the download button. It's called SDK manager. When you download the Android Studio, you already downloaded some SDKs. So to be safe, I suggest you to download the SDK from 5 to 8. So check all the buttons. Don't do it here, because if all of you download at the same time, the speed will be very slow. So after the class, you can check all the buttons from 5 to 8. Then click OK. And the SDK tools, the SAXM installer is very important for virtual device. So if you install this component, it will increase the speed of your emulator. So check the SAXM and check the SDK platforms. So if you want to change your project version, so I think you currently have only one SDK platform. For example, if you use the Android 6, and in the future, if you want to use it in the Android 5, you have to download this one. Then you can change the Gradle, the mini SDK version, and the target SDK version. So the target SDK version means this application is best for this version, but it can still running on 24 version. And in the Gradle is a tool to manage your project. This is a new thing. It's like introduced 5 years ago, maybe 5 years ago. It's the other tools we call Marvin, and these are very two popular tools to manage your project. So that's why if we change different style of the folder, so you will see different style of the hierarchies. So the Gradle is to help you to manage your project, manage the folders. So you just need to care about two things. One is the SDK version, and one is dependencies. So whenever you want to use a third-party library from GitHub or other resources, you have to add the statement here. So I just want you to know that I will show you how to import third parties in the future. So you just need to know the Gradle for the module app is the file to import dependencies and also to set the SDK versions. The other button we have profile app, project structure. Okay, after you change anything about the Gradle, you have to, because the Gradle is a different thing from your project, it helps you manage the project. So after you change the setting of the Gradle, you have to click this button. It's called Sync Project with Gradle files. So if you import a new third-party library or you change the SDK version, you have to click the button. Then the Gradle will readjust the structure of your project. Then after finished, then you will have the changed SDK version. If after you put any dependence here, you have to make sure your computer is connected to internet, because this is just only a statement, not a library. So you cannot import library by using one sentence. So this is just a statement which library you are used in this project. And according to the statement here, the Gradle will download the library to this project. So that's why you have to connect to internet. So for example, my favorite library is called butter knife. Then in a third-party library website, so you find out one third party is very good for your project, then you just need to find out the Gradle statement and copy these two sentences to the dependence, then click the sync. Then you can use the butter knife in your project. So that's quite simple. That's for the sync. And what do we need to learn? Okay, next thing is the version control. Okay, I will show you steps. So I will show you steps, but I give you one day, like on Tuesday, to install your Git. Then make sure your GitHub account is workable. Then I will show you again on Wednesday. So I will not check it on Wednesday, but because this is planned to teach in this class, I will show you. Then you can, after you install your Git on your computer, so you can have a chance to try it on your computer. Then we will use it on Wednesday's class. and I will check your GitHub version on next Monday. So you will find a version control VCS item, then go to import into version control. So the first step is create Git repository. Like I said, this step is to let you to create the local repository. Then so that's a folder you created. So choose the folder, then click open. So that's the only path. That's the only correct path. If you didn't choose this path and choose any path, it is wrong. So you cannot push it to GitHub successfully. So choose this folder, click open. Then are you sure that you want to create a new VCS root? And click yes. Then you will find all the files become to red. That means you successfully create a local repository, but the local repository is empty. And you have to, so we just create a local repository, but it's empty. So we have to do this step to index the file. All the red file means it didn't index to the local repository. So go to VCS control again, then so it's checkout import to CVS. Okay, because we use GitHub, so we click share project on GitHub. So that's a repository name in your GitHub account. Then click share. So it will pop out a window to let you choose which file should be indexed to the local repository. So I suggest you to choose all the files and put a commit message here. I give an initial commit. Then okay, so you can see this is commit. That means you only commit your working directory to local repository. Then click OK. Do you want to add the following files to GitHub? To Git, then remember yes. Successfully shared project on GitHub. Because this step is automatically pushed because it's first initial, and the system will push it to GitHub automatically. So if I go to my GitHub account, it should be there. (2018) summer. Then we can find the main activity. Then, so on next Monday, I will check your GitHub account. So just bring your laptop to here and show me your GitHub account. So the repository name should be your first name, your campus ID. And so the file name changed to white. That means you successfully shared the project on GitHub. After I make some modification about this activity, for example, toast show make text is hello Android you can see the file name changed to blue. That means you made some modification about this file, but you didn't push it to GitHub. It's still in the local. If you delete your local project, you cannot find it. So we right-click the file name, then git commit file, commit message toast. So this shows, in this window, it shows you which line you have changed in this file. So you can check it here if you don't want to push it or it has some errors. Then when you move your mouse to this button, you can see commit and push, commit, and create patch. So if you want to stay in the local repository, you just need to commit it. If you want to push it to GitHub, you have to commit and push. Then click push. You can, if you have different branch like tablet version, beta version, alpha version, you can choose which version you want to push it to, and push it here. And after you saw the push successful, the file changed to plug again. So after you debug something, after you make sure your current work is workable and you want to show me on next class, so it's better to push it to GitHub. So even your computer will crash before the class, or you add some new function but you got some errors. If you have got some errors like this one, it will show you a red color in the code. And if you click run, it won't let you run and you cannot push it. And it will not, so you will receive a build file. So if you receive file any error in the compiler, you cannot open and saw it. So you cannot see it on your emulator on your phones. So I cannot check your in-class task. So now, if you cannot fix it in 10 minutes or in 5 minutes, you can just delete the local version. Go to your project. So this is a new project, and move to trash. Then empty trash. So now I cannot find it back in my local computer, but so it's all clear. Then delete it. So if you want to get your in-class task credits, then go to your GitHub version. Go to your repository, click clone and download, copy the path. So go back to your Android Studio, click the third one, check out the project from version control, and choose GitHub, and paste the path here. Already exists. So there shows the directory already exists because if you check this list first, even though your hard device don't have this project, it also has it here. You have to delete it here, then check out again, choose GitHub, paste the path, already exists. Okay, I deleted the wrong folder. So move it to trash, then empty it. What I delete in the previous one? Oh my god. I'm better. Hope I keep the GitHub version. So then you put the repository URL here, then click. So you can, if you want to try, you can test it first. Then the connection to the GitHub, then clone. You have checked out an Android Studio project, and would you like to open it? Yes. Then everything back. So that's why I suggest you to use GitHub to maintain your in-class task to avoid something happened before the class.